Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Larry Carr, member of the Chamber Board, and I'll be chairing this meeting of the Economic Development Committee this morning. Rick Kent is away on vacation, I think, not business, but some probably well-deserved personal time. We're going to take just a quick minute and sort of go around the horn here and introduce, have everyone introduce themselves and their affiliation so we all know who's joining us. And just a quick reminder, we are live on Facebook this morning as well. And this morning's session is recorded for chamber members that may have missed it. Joe, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right, my name is Joe Miller, and I'm on the Morgan Hill Planning Commission.
Great. Mario? Mario, you're on mute.
Yeah, Mario Banuelos. I'm a Rotarian and I'm on the Economic Development Committee.
Great. And the folks that are officially presenting this morning, we'll get to you guys as you present. So John Lang.
Good morning, John Lang, Economic Development Manager for the City of Morgan Hill.
Armando.
Good morning, Armando Garcia, Board Member, Chamber of Commerce.
Edith.
Good morning, Edith Ramirez, Assistant City Manager for Development Services in Morgan Hill.
Steve.
Good morning, Steve Batista, Superintendent, Morgan Hill.
Great. And Steve Tate.
Steve Tate, unaffiliated.
You're affiliated with all of us, Steve.
Exactly. We'll take it every time. Marby.
I am Marby Lee. I'm a realtor with Remax Realty Partners here in Morgan Hill.
And a former council member. Let's see. We all know Brittany Sherman, our esteemed exec. Brian.
Brian Sullivan, a citizen of Morgan Hill.
And John McKay.
Hello, John McKay. I'm here to represent myself, private citizen, and glad to be able to join you this morning.
And council member and a fabulous clinic manager along with Mario running a COVID vaccine clinic in Morgan Hill. We're excited about that. Edith, did you have a question before we get started?
I also wanted to say John McKay, Council Member, Mayor Pro Tem, and Man of the Year.
There you go. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, we've got a lineup of speakers. We sort of, I don't know if this was by design or not, but we're sort of on a transportation theme this morning, which will be interesting. And we want to jump right into it because our first speaker, we're excited to hear about this business coming to town. And we know we have a time a commitment here for him. So our first speaker is Chris Palara with the new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealership in Morgan Hill. Chris, why don't you give us a few minutes about coming to Morgan Hill, your business, where things are, and then we're going to jump into some Q&A with you, if you don't mind.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. We're just kind of give you a brief who we are. We're Cardinelli Automotive Group. It's founded by my father-in-law, Joe Cardinelli, who's the chairman of the board of our organization. I'm vice president and one of the regional market presidents. We have currently we're at 21. Well, next Wednesday we open our 21st store in Glendora. Morgan Hill was number 20 that we opened in February to a temporary facility. We expect by the end of the year to be somewhere around 25. We found 2020 is the year that we decided that after going through 2008, we said we would never be subject to the market and we would be ready for expansion in that next downturn. And thank everybody above that we had the opportunity to expand this year. We have dealerships throughout California. We have Arizona and Nevada. The thing we're the most excited about right now is Morgan Hill. We purchased 9.25 acres next door to Ford, and with the idea that ultimately there would be 2 stores there over time. And right now we're in the process with the city. The city's been absolutely fabulous to deal with. And we have a lot of projects, right? Between the last 2 years and going forward through next year, we'll have right around 15 construction projects, whether it be ground up facilities or remodels. And the city of Morgan Hill has just been wonderful to deal with. I want you guys to all know how much we appreciate doing business in Morgan Hill and how accommodating you all have been to do business with. We're in the process. We look to break ground hopefully in June. My goal was to break ground in May. It's going to be somewhere between May and June is our target to break construction, and would like to be open sometime in the first quarter. Maybe we're looking at about a 9 to 10 month go. It'll be the first or second. It'll be the first in California, what Chrysler calls their CDR, Chrysler Dodge Ram Plus J Jeep. It'll have 2 different experiences within the same facility. It's a roughly 35,000 square foot facility with what we believe we'll end up having to expand in the future. We see Morgan Hill as an absolute boom of an opportunity for us. And in the next probably 2 years to 3 years to be one of our biggest stores throughout all of our chain. So we really believe that with the opportunities, with the location of Morgan Hill, proximity to the Bay Area, and sitting next door to the Ford store, which is a wonderful, it runs the number 1 or 2 Ford store in all of Northern California every year. We believe that with our addition, we can bring traffic that'll help both of us, and that we see big things with that store in Morgan Hill. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if anybody's got any other questions about that. It's kind of who we are. We're a family organization. All of the executive board are family members, and we're about 800. We'll be about close to 900 employees throughout the organization next month.
That's great. We're gonna jump into Q&A, but before I ask everyone else, just Chris, maybe tell us a little bit more about why Morgan Hill is such an important market for you. You say you see only an upside in Morgan Hill. What is it about Morgan Hill, maybe both from a car dealership perspective, what you do very specifically, and if there's other maybe tangential things that make us a good business place?
Well, after dealing with the city, I can tell you you're a wonderful dealer, a business place to deal with. The city has all been so accommodating, especially having to fight through COVID and everything else. They want business. We have other dealerships, and I won't name the cities in California, that it's like we're the enemy. And that's not the case in Morgan Hill. Morgan Hill sees us as a partner, and we see Morgan Hill as a partner. We had the opportunity to buy Gilroy, and Chrysler came to me in our negotiations and said, "Hey, we see a bigger opportunity. We think you should consider this." And for those that don't know, Josh Tobin, who owned the property, who had bought the property, and there were some changes within his family that caused them to seek to not be able to do what they were going to do, and who is one of the biggest Dodge dealers in the United States, saw Morgan Hill as a future opportunity. Because of the proximity to the Bay Area and the commute from Gilroy, Monterey, Salinas, and the likes, it's a perfect location. There's a ton of drive-by. It's easy to get to from the Bay Area. If you're in San Jose, it's almost easier to get to than the dealerships to the north of them, and to the East Bay. And we will have the brand new state-of-the-art facility with plenty of service capacity for the customers. And with the advent of Chrysler saw it. For those that you don't know, I don't know if you all remember the Grand Wagoneer, the old Grand Wagoneer, woody-sided. What was the original luxury? It was the luxury utility vehicle in its day is coming back. And that is a new channel it'll be a new channel, very high line, very upscale. And we will be one of the Grand Wagoneer dealers, and Chrysler believes that we will be one of their biggest. And it'll be an extremely luxurious, the store will have a lot of luxury elements to it. And the client base for that Morgan Hill area lends very well, to not only the truck side of it, but to that more high-end market too, as well.
All right. I hope John and Edith have gotten a lot of great quotes from Chris this morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's very rare that I say anything that has any intelligence whatsoever.
I doubt that highly. Questions for Chris? Marby.
Hi, Chris. Thank you very much for the presentation. Just quick question. What do you anticipate your sales to be on an annual basis? And then going to kind of throw this over to Edith too. What do you think, or what are we looking at as like sales tax projections then based on that?
That's a tough one, because if we saw this as being a 100 to 200 car store initially, and as we're starting to already see a great amount of traffic, and here we are in a dirt lot with a bunch of trailers and no good signage and things. This could, we now believe that this could blow the doors off of our initial projections. Wow. I don't want to venture out and tell you, if I told you my numbers, it scares me when I think about it. So I think you'll see that store probably in the several hundred, let's put it that way, in the future.
I would say your signage is pretty good for having no building there, because I see it every time I'm on the freeway. So
well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Edith, do you know what the city has plugged into the budget for projections?
I'm so grateful that John is here, because he's the one that helps me track the numbers. But as he's looking, and we do have some projections, not only for the budget, but the city we don't have a whole lot of economic development programs and incentives, but we do have one that is a fee freeze agreement and a cost and a tax sharing agreement. And I'll ask John to see if he has the numbers handy. But I will say that now that I have the opportunity, I want to thank Chris for his investment in coming to Morgan Hill and working through the process of something that for Morgan Hill has been has been a learning experience, which is, how do we allow a temporary structure and facility to come up? And that has been a learning experience for us. And I want to thank Chris for his patience in working through all those details with us as he is moving on parallel tracks, both for the facility that he has already up, as well as the permanent facility. John, you're gonna rescue me here?
Sure. So to Chris's point and to Edith's point, we're, in terms of the temporary operation, we're estimating in the neighborhood of about 200,000. When the new dealership does get built and is really kind of operational, we think it'll be upwards of $400,000 in revenue to the city. And if it exceeds at the highest possible end, it could be as much as 600,000. But we think a very good aggressive estimate, fully operational, will be about $400,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions for Chris? Chris, I got another one. If you can maybe tell us a little bit. COVID has changed everything. One of the things that initially did, and I think in the long term is going to continue doing, is changing our transportation habits. It's going to be a long time before people are really comfortable with public transportation in the same ways that we may have been in 2019. How do you see that affecting your business, sort of in 2020 and 2021 and in the long term?
Well, it sure has changed that ride share mode, that ride share and public transportation idea. You know, it's hard to tell. When we would have said to you, we had a meeting when COVID hit back in March of last year, and Joe came to us and said, hey, if we can make $1 this year, just $1, I'll be happy. You know, it turned out 2020 was the biggest year in the history for us. And it's not in overall unit sales. It's changed the market. It's changed the profitability because you had all of these manufacturers shut down. Well, you know, the problem in the car business is when you get a glut of cars, everybody's cutting each other's throats to try to sell cars. Well, and there's no profitability in the deal. You also had a bunch of stores go out. I mean, there were a lot of you know, it wasn't 08. It wasn't as big of devastation to the automotive industry in the dealer world as 08, but you did lose some smaller dealers. You saw a lot of consolidation, and as time goes on, I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I think we've got a pretty darn good run. You know, it's going to take a while for these manufacturers to get back online. You know, they still got the COVID protocols, so they have. It's not as quick building cars as it was, you know, because they have to social distance and the things they have to do. They can't run the full crews like they were running. There's still a huge demand. We cannot keep a truck in stock. Literally, if you drive by our lot, you know, we may we're praying and Chrysler has made a commitment to us to be one of the biggest truck dealers in Northern California, and hopefully, you know, through into June-ish, we'll start to see some inventory. But you know, on none of our lots, we can't keep trucks in stock. In GMC, we're lucky if we'll have 2 or 3 trucks on the ground. I mean, it's a strange phenomena for us. It's not an all bad thing, but you're seeing all of the now we're seeing component shortages, which is starting to affect manufacturing again. So I think you're going to see a nice run with automotive. I think the idea, like you said, Larry, with public transportation, I don't think people are as comfortable as they were, and I don't think they're going to be for a while. I think it's going to be a 2 to 3 year play, and maybe a lot longer than that if it still hangs around a little bit, even in that minor. I think people are going to be a lot more cognizant about it and a little more comfortable. Now the question is, what's the EV market going to do? That's the next question for us. We're seeing as a dealership.
Yeah, all good points. I think I'm sensing a topic for perhaps our government relations committee, Marty, to talk about transportation of the future and where that's going. John McKay has his hand up, and John's going to get the last question in here for Chris this morning. John, take it away.
Oh boy, I get the last word. So, well, Chris, thank you. Thank you for coming to Morgan Hill. I'd like to just piggyback off of what you said about this tax incentive program. In the overall scheme of things, there are a variety of different incentives, I'm sure, you know, cities provide. How effective is that? How is that one of the nicest carrots we can dangle in front of you to get you to come? Because I know that, you know, everybody, you know, we challenge how effective is it? Why are we giving this away? We have to obviously be very, very forward looking and thinking that in the long term is going to be really good. How does this impact some of the decision making when you're looking for a site compared to all the other incentives? In other words, is there another incentive that you would like to see us provide too?
That is an absolutely great question, and I can give you an answer. I think the answer you're going to get is for me is it's a great incentive to come versus it has swayed us in some situations, not in Morgan Hill, in more between cities, because we've had in areas where we've put stores in cities where they are willing to help. in Morgan Hill, what it's done is it has increased our investment. Our investment will exceed probably 18, $19 million in this project. We originally had it priced a lot less. Obviously, material costs and things have gone significantly higher. It incentivized us to go bigger and invest more, and we think in turn is going to far and away exceed any of our projections of what we thought the facility could do. But for us and dealing with the city, the way the city helps to move these things along, there's not in a temporary facility in a car dealership is a kind of double-edged sword. While you're building a client base for the store so that you're not starting from zero when you go into a full-fledged operation, there's typically a burn. So it gives you a little bit of savings to help with that kind of negative operating cost as you start to build. And that really helps there.
So is one of the strong factors then just the ability to work with city staff to make sure that these things happen? So that's a great influencer right there.
The influence there is huge with the fact that they are so helpful and willing to keep things moving quickly.
Okay, so and that's something that I think needs to, as we all know here, I think we need to have that repeated loudly and clearly and repeatedly. And I would really appreciate your voice in that.
Anytime.
So thank you very much. And by the way, I am a brand new Jeep owner. I love my Jeep, and I would like to be able to, I know that I didn't buy the Jeep there, but hopefully I can do all my service there. So please tell the service manager that I'm okay, even though,
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
John, yeah, tell the service manager John's a decent guy. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for taking time with us this morning. We're excited to have you in Morgan Hill. And it's really great and refreshing to hear the things that you have to say about where you think the prospects for your business are going in Morgan Hill. And if we haven't done so already, expect to see some membership information coming your way. We'd love to have the Cardinelli Group be an official member of the Chamber of Commerce, so we can use all those great quotes about Morgan Hill and the business climate in Morgan Hill. Chris, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. We're so excited to be here.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we're going to stay on some of our themes here this morning, and I'm going to introduce now John Batista. John's with Tropos Technologies, and John's going to tell us about his business and what's going on in his world. John, take it away. I can't hear John. Was that it? I think we got you now, John.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Yeah, that's goofy. Electronics, right? Fortunately, I'm not in the networking and IT business because I really suck at it. But anyway, so yeah, thank you for having me. This is a lot of people probably heard. Well, I don't know if anybody was there when I spoke to this group back 4 years ago when I first started the business. But this is a really good opportunity for me to kind of give you a progress on what our business has done here. So originally I started out over on 16290 Church Street in 4,000 square foot. And today I can tell you that we're in 34,000 square feet over in South County Business Park. I actually am sitting, my office is now Irv Perlich's office from back in the day from American Clipper and Aristocrat Trailer. And the irony of it all was that I actually sat in this office in 1977 talking to Irv because he and my father were friends. And so, you know, it's a blast from the past. Everybody says that this is my my Mad Men office. And on that wall,
leather couch.
yeah, my wife wants me to put the dogs playing poker picture up on the wall there. So to give it that feel. And I need a bar card over here. But anyway, jumping on to where we're at. So what we're doing is over the last 4 years, even through COVID, our business continues to grow. We've been able to triple our revenues every year. And it's a good deal, but it's also, I always tell people, it's not a really huge deal, because if you had $1 and you made it into 3, you would have 300% growth, or, you know, or 200% growth. You know, no, it's not to minimize it. You know, we've fought very hard through our challenges to get to the point where we are today. We now have distribution throughout the around the world. I won't say we're in every corner of the world yet, but that's our goal coming up very quickly here. We have a manufacturing plant in Herne, Germany, which is near Dusseldorf. We have a very good, strong partner in Europe. We are right now moving in a Series fund round right now, our Series A funding round. As many people may know, there's a huge amount of interest in electric vehicles in the electric vehicle sector, because there's so much pressure both politically and economically to move towards electric vehicles, because the cost of batteries is now dropping considerably, and so electric transportation is becoming more more affordable for people. So with that, and you know, the timing and the stars aligning, and you know, all the things that we're have invested our time in doing, which is building good relationships with you know, very large corporations like Panasonic and such, and our product getting out there and building our brand. We have vehicles at Tesla, Stanford. I was just looking at a list: the Milwaukee Brewers, University of British Columbia. I mean, you know, we're basically have gotten our vehicles out pretty significantly. So our brand is getting recognized worldwide. We're getting a lot of business opportunities. Right now, we're negotiating for opening up the Indian market with one of the largest manufacturers in the world, who is based out of India. I can't say the name, but you could probably guess who that might be. And so we're pretty far advanced in those discussions. We are, yeah, so it's a pretty exciting time for us. And I apologize that once my Q&A is done, I'm going to have to bounce off too as well. But yeah, so it's pretty exciting. Probably what's more of interest is what our future plans are, because obviously we hold a bigger footprint now than we did before, and it's becoming larger. We're actually, honestly, our use of funds for our fundraising is to build our own manufacturing capability. We are now trying to gain control of our quality, and because we've been using contract manufacturers to do our manufacturing for us, and they're also supplying our supply channels, which for us is very hard to control. We're in Asia right now, and we're looking to move out of Asia, obviously for obvious reasons. Economically, there's a lot of instability. There is who knows where the politics are going. They seem to be deteriorating quickly between not just us, but the rest of the Western world and China. There's a lot going on there. So because of all that uncertainty, it only makes, you know, a prudent sense for us to start exploring other supply chains, hence the negotiations with India. So for us, for North America, we're looking to expand considerably. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say that it's probably not going to be here for a lot of different reasons. the California environment for businesses is deteriorating. I don't see the incentives there's a lot of different reasons, a broad spectrum of reasons. One is our employee base. It's very, very challenging for us to hire everything from blue collar through white collar through skilled labor. It's very expensive here. It's not a knock against Morgan Hill per se. It's more, and I think we're seeing a lot of that movement out. Taxation is going to go through the roof. It's almost inevitable, and you're seeing a lot of that happening already. Especially, Southern California, they're moving out. There's I think the statistic I saw was something like a 15 or 25% an occupancy rate now for commercial properties in Southern California. And so, and there are a lot of different places in North America that are offering us a lot of incentive to be there. Low cost financing, at market or below market debt financing, underwriting of employees, employee benefits, employee training, a very aggressive real estate grants and underwriting for us to take over unoccupied, existing unoccupied space. So there's a whole plethora of reasons why. We will still continue to have a presence here. This is still where our headquarters will be. I'm just mainly focusing on the manufacturing part. So I'm going to get on my wagon and talk a little bit about the facilities restrictions that are being discussed, or maybe even passed already. I don't know. I apologize. I haven't had time. I've been on the phone since we're a global company now. I'm on the phone all having Zoom meetings at all hours of the day. I can tell you that I save a lot of money by Zoom calling, because I want, even if I could travel, it would be very be brutal on the body, I guess.
Yeah.
But they, for us, just even in our facility that we have now, the 20,000 square foot building I have over here, it's 20,000 square feet. I have 6 roll-up doors. And so, that, I don't know where this is all going and how it's all going to pencil out. I can tell you the cabinet shop around the corner has 8,000 square feet and 4 roll-up doors. So, some of these, I was on a call earlier, and pretty much everybody, Brittany was on the call. She was the one that organized it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I have to say that all that ambiguity, all that uncertainty makes us less inclined to want to stay in an environment or bring manufacturing into an environment where there may be some large confusion. So I apologize if I'm speaking about something that may or may not have come to pass. But I can tell you that until the final decisions are made and the word gets out to the community or the business community as a whole, a lot of people are really confused by what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's about it. That's a big dump in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever it took me to spill all that out.
John, thanks. We appreciate both your bluntness and your honesty with us. That's really the purpose of this group, is to find ways to support existing and new businesses in Morgan Hill. So we appreciate hearing that. And the irony is not lost on this group, a state like California that wants to be at the forefront of doing things that are new technologies and things like electric vehicles, and yet you're struggling with finding a way to keep your business in California because of regulations and restrictions. I'm not sure what exactly a local chamber can do about that, but we can continue to be a voice on that. John, you've been in and around Morgan Hill a long time. You're one of these stories of local boy makes good. And I'm glad to hear that you're going to keep some presence in Morgan Hill. The advanced manufacturing kind of jobs, excuse me, that you talk about with your company are exactly the kinds of things that we hear talked about in the community of Morgan Hill all the time. Mm-hmm. How do you see the chamber playing a role to being able to do things that, you know, maybe you're already down a path, but that might be able to change that path, or in the future might be able to make someone else's decision a little bit better about staying in Morgan Hill or growing in Morgan Hill?
Well, here's where I'm probably going to be, jumping on the, on my soapbox a little bit. To me, the chamber should be like our PAC, right? Our political action committee that represents the businesses here in town. Personally, I don't have the time to go out and be vocal at every forum that's going to be out there, whereas some private citizens have the opportunity to push their schedule, their agenda aside, and be able to go out there and represent their groups well. For us, I think that's what the chamber should be for us. I think that they should be the voice of our local businesses. Right now, I can tell you that our local businesses aren't feeling that well represented. No offense to everybody here, but we're seeing all this stuff going on, and we see the flow going on, and there's just so much voice being given to, it may be a larger group. So my mom was was a planning commissioner, and my mom was running for city council back in the 1970s. Steve probably remembers all this, and they were neighbors. And it was during the no growth initiative, right? One of the very first ones. And it was very, controversial, very divisive of the community, very much like what we see here now. So I lived through it once already. What ultimately ended up slowing growth down was an over-impacted sewage treatment plant in Hollister. So that slowed the roll of everybody. And but at the end of the day, economically, there are decisions that have to be made, and everybody's voices need to be heard, not just a handful. And so so that's I'm off my soapbox now.
That's important for us to hear, though, John. And I think the marching orders of the chamber are not lost on any of us this morning. But let's open it up. Who else has a question for John about his business or about the climate in Morgan Hill and throughout California? Brittany, take it away.
Morning. I think you and I spoke years back when we first met about the kind of the qualifications around being an American-made company. When you move the manufacturing from China back over to the United States, will you then be 100% American-made, or will you satisfy what needs to be done to have that label on there?
Yeah, so what I know more now than I did then was the fact that there are countries that are considered able to be included in that made in USA status. There are certain European countries, obviously our neighboring countries like Mexico and Canada, they qualify. So it comes into our choices that we end up making and how much quantity that we end up putting into it. For those of you who don't know, just because you actually assemble or do final assembly in the United States doesn't qualify you necessarily for made in the USA. And made in the USA is actually a dollar amount percentage. So the quantity of product from a cost point of view that is sourced here in North America or friendly nations helps you qualify. We will have a much better chance, especially getting out of China. We will probably still end up sourcing some components from China, but right now we have goals, and those goals are to pull out of China. Oh, and before I go to another question, if there is any, I do want to say that I really do love Morgan Hill. Okay, yeah, I was born here. My family dates back to the 1920s in Gilroy, so I'm about as local as they come. And the city has addressed all of the other concerns that I had before. Brittany will remember the soapbox I climbed on then, and then my experience with the city has been awesome. So.
Okay. Other questions, Armando?
Yes, good morning, John.
Good morning.
I have a question on, you mentioned the roll-up doors for the buildings, and the ordinance goes for dock bay doors. Are they roll-up doors or dock bay doors that you were referring to?
So fortunately for me, they're all ground level. So but I can tell you that there are a number of businesses we would use dock doors if I could get to them, right? Right now economically, the rent here at South County Business Park is unbelievably low, and so that's the reason we came here. If it wasn't, we would be looking for a building that had at least four for 20,000 square feet. So that's one. And for us to be able to, because we use forklifts to get our stuff in and out. Right now we use a 2 forklift system to get our stuff out of our shipping containers. We pull it out with 1 forklift, and we come in from the side with a 2nd forklift to grab it. I mean, it's risky to do it that way. Just driving in and out of a trailer is much better. You figure we are planning on putting, our goal is probably 10,000 vehicles a year. We can only fit the components for 4 vehicles in a 40-foot container. So if you do the math, that's quite a few vehicles, and we're not a distribution company, we're a manufacturer. So, but we would fall under this broad specification that, of what that restriction would be. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Brian Sullivan.
Thank you, Larry. John, I have a question about the electric motor industry and how that's progressing, because that's going to affect a lot of how you can, gear up and go faster and really get out there a lot more. In the next 5 to 10 years, where do you see the battery industry going from a cost and an efficiency standpoint to make it possible to get to that level?
So the industry benchmarks roughly 15 cents a watt hour, which is this is very loose. I apologize if it's a bit technical, but a watt hour is a measurement of energy. 15 that's parity considered with gasoline. So gasoline has X number of watts per gallon, and then 33,000, and then but a car can only be about 15% efficient, so it's 15% of that, and you do all the math and everything. So parity is at 15 cents a watt hour, and so we're there now. I just got quoted from 2 different places, finished batteries for 15 cents a watt hour. That's critical. That's key, because now the price of a vehicle is going to be get you the same range that you would get if you can quick charge, which Teslas and a lot of these other new ones that are coming out. We're commercial vehicles, so there's less of a need to have as quick a charge. But if you can go and park, because usually when I go and fill up my car, it's 10 minutes, maybe 15. If I can get a good percentage of that charge in 15 to 30 minutes, then and get a day's worth of use, or parking it at my house overnight and get a day's worth of use, I have no more need for petroleum. And if the cost can stay around $30,000 for a vehicle and get that kind of performance, which you're seeing already now, yeah, it's the only resistance that there is to this is the petroleum industry, because now we're shifting the economies from being petrol-based to utility-based. And another pet peeve of mine is why the utilities didn't embrace that, because now they can control the markets. So that's, who knows why. But yeah, so as far as that goes, you're seeing literally I would probably say somewhere approaching $1 trillion of investment in electric vehicle space worldwide. I mean, everybody is putting money into it. It's just crazy. I'd speak some numbers to you guys, but it just seems unfathomable to me. And this has all changed in the space of a year.
That's exciting. That's nice. Good to hear. John McKay and then Mario, and we'll wrap it up with that.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to try to keep this short. Real quickly, what does Tropos mean again?
Tropos comes from the troposphere, which is the first 10 kilometers of the atmosphere, which is the part we live in. So it seems to me that's the most important portion of the atmosphere to us. So that's where Tropos came from.
Excellent. Let's own that. Let's keep it. That's ours. Thank you very much, John. So John, I am on the council, and I was there at the meeting last night, and we will be moving forward with that distribution center ban. And what I'm hoping is that you will become a voice in those discussions. Last night, I tried to make it very clear that we needed to engage our business community much more completely. I know that economic development here tried, but I think now working together with the chamber, I think there will be even more success. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I think that voice needs to be heard at this point. So I want to thank I want to thank what you told me, because I actually used you as an example last night during my comments. I kind of fudged a little bit to, hopefully that was okay. Sorry, John.
No, that's okay.
And so I guess what I would like to ask you also is, how do you get the feeling from your peers in the business community that we're moving towards being seen as business unfriendly?
I would have to say yes. I mean, for big business, and here's the conundrum, right? Is that commercial businesses is where the tax base, the true positive tax comes from. All residential community Morgan Hill has always been viewed as a bedroom community for San Jose. But for us to survive, for all the infrastructure to exist, you have to have businesses, and it can't just be mom and pop sandwich shops. It needs to be, a fair balance of larger businesses. And mind you, my comments, go out beyond Morgan Hill. Morgan Hill, I think, can find some sort of a balance. There is need for R&D space that's sub what I'm looking for and what a lot of these other businesses are looking for. The Morgan Hill just has to understand the reality of that. If we do go forward with this, the types of commercial businesses will change. But the other thing too is the landowners, right? I don't know how much of a voice we're giving to the commercial landowners that have not improved their land yet, and whether or not that is now making them rethink how they're going to utilize that land. There's still if you go around today and you try to find a mixed use space for, call it 2,000 to 4,000 square foot, you're not going to find any vacancies. So to me, that's the reality. The reality is that if we do go down this path, there's so much pressure to do so, we're probably going to see a lot of the larger businesses go away, but we will probably backfill in with a lot of smaller commercial space capability.
So my last, I guess it's a comment, because I'm going to have to leave and jump off to another meeting, and that is that I'll share with everybody here, I'm just immensely disappointed in the way the city of Morgan Hill handled communications over the last year. I think that without providing the proper context for a lot of the discussions, the lot of conversations that were taking place out on social media, that we really started to lose a battle before we ever joined it. And not in the sense that you have to fight it, you just have to educate the community. There are many departments within the city. Economic development was trying, and I know you were, but you were drowned out by voices within City Hall that said, let's not do that. Let's not create waves. So what I'm asking is now for you as a chamber and business owners, members, to push the city, to push them to change the way they go about their business, because I don't see that changing, and I'm extremely disappointed in the direction it's going. I know that Edith and John work very hard to get the message out, but they're not the final say in things. I think that it may fall on the chamber to help push the city to have that voice that needs to be heard out there, that they don't have to advocate. All they have to do is come out, tell the truth, let the truth tell the story. And that's, I'm going to jump off my soapbox and leave time for everybody else. I want to thank everybody here. Thank you, Economic Development. You've done a great job. I know you're trying, but you're only one department in a large, city hall, and we need to push City Hall to become more proactive and have that voice in the community and use the tools that it has. Thank you very much.
All right, John. Mario, you had a question.
Good morning, John. Yeah, my question is, you said earlier that you have a hard time finding a workforce with the skill sets to help you with your company. And I guess my question is, are our educational institutions not keeping up with technology? Or, what are the challenges you're facing in terms of, getting a workforce with the skill sets you need?
So to me, it's twofold right now. When the Silicon Valley is a hotbed of electric transportation, and bottom line is that everybody's competing for the same pool of talent, right? And from being that we're a startup, we can't afford to go out and dangle huge carrots like Apple can. I see, I run the Morgan Hill Cars and Coffee car event, and we get the Apple guys come in every once in a while in their Lamborghinis and stuff, and I'm going, man, I could never compete. These are top level engineers, and so so it's not necessarily something that Morgan Hill can help with. It's not necessarily something that anybody really can help with, because it's a matter of supply and demand. And so there's not much that can be done there. As far as, so if I can make one more comment, Larry, I apologize.
Oh, go ahead.
The thing that I think that the community needs to understand is that if the city can no longer draw tax revenue from businesses because the number of businesses is dwindling, where do you think that money is going to come from? It's going to come from assessments to and raises in property tax levels to the residential community. So I don't think they've really thought this all out. It's great to be anti-business or big business or anti whatever, that's that not in my backyard kind of thing. Brian and I sit on the Law Enforcement Foundation. It's this defund and shut down the police departments movement, right? It's like, okay, have you guys really thought this all out? I mean, this is lunacy. But as far as the business is concerned, yeah, sure, fine, go ahead and get rid of us. De-incentivize us to stay in town, and we will move, and that's how the businesses will vote. Okay, we'll vote by moving out of town. We'll vote by moving out of state, and there you go. Then we'll have the trickle down.
Yeah. The long-term horizon on some of these things is lost, and granted, citizen-led initiatives are not trained professionals like the planning staff the city has, who think about things on a long-term horizon. We think about what's in front of us today, and that's it. But John, I really want to thank you for your time this morning, your commitment to Morgan Hill, and for your frank honesty with us. We hope to continue that kind of a conversation because, like you said, the chamber plays many roles, and one of them is an advocacy role for businesses. So thanks again, John. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I apologize to the next speaker. I appreciate your sticking around for my diatribe, but I think that if I apologize, I won't be able to appreciate the next voices that are heard. Okay,
I understand. You've got a business to run.
Yeah,
thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
So as we all know, one of the other roles the chamber plays is that in supporting business practices and small business practices. And this morning, we have the pleasure of having PG&E come talk to us about their small business best practices. And Jenny Lamont is here with us. I don't see you right now, but I see someone's taking over the screen. So Jenny, why don't you introduce yourself? And I think someone else is with you, and the screen is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Yes, my name is Jenny Limones, and I'm with the START team. It's our small business team. I do have my supervisor on the line as well, Cesar Gonzalez. So yes, we're both here to represent PG&E in our small business community. As, again, thank you very much for inviting us and for having us here. So I'll take a few minutes of your time, and actually even something that John touched on as far as economic development. So I will definitely pause on that slide when we get to it, but I do want to share some tools that may help our small businesses here. And Brittany, if you can move on, please. And just a little bit of who we are. Again, I'm a customer relationship manager with our START team, which is actually an acronym for Success Through Additional Resources and Training. Basically, what we do is we do outreach during the first year of a service for business customers. So the smaller businesses, the mom and pop shops, micro businesses that start up, then we try to give them all the tools possible to help them succeed during that first year of service. This is our team of 9 plus our other supervisor on the line, Caesar, and also Alicia, which is his supervisor. We're all based out of Fresno, but we do handle all of the PG&E territory. And so that can be as far north as Humboldt and down to Bakersfield, so pretty much throughout California. Next slide. And these are a few of the topics that we'll be actually addressing today. Again, this is a high overview, so it's just a few topics. I'm sure we can go into much more, especially after our conversation right now with John and everything that we've been talking about. But again, with safety resources being a big one, and PSPS within California, of course, the wildfire mitigation. But we'll be touching a little bit on each one of these topics. And first and foremost, safety resources. A couple of things we want to touch on. A lot of this information, pretty much everything that you're going to see is on our website. So if there's additional questions or you would like to get more detail about it, it can be found there. And this deck will be shared later, which has a lot of the links on there. One of the things for businesses is, of course, if there is a power outage, how do we continue to work through that power outage? So for example, if it's a generator or contacting employees there, do we keep the employee here? How long do we know, if the power outage is going to last? That's what we want to know. So there is a checklist online for different things that we may suggest. For example, a lot of us now have phone numbers just on our phones, right? We don't have a hard list like we used to, or memorize all the phone numbers that we used to. So having a list on actual paper and pen, I know that's kind of unheard of nowadays, but of employees and any emergency phone numbers, that's something important to have, not just for businesses, but also us as residents as well. And I can't skip the scams part. Unfortunately, that's one of the most common calls that we get for PG&E. There are people verifying, okay, I just got a call saying my electricity was going to be shut off in 30 minutes. Is this true? And unfortunately, some people do fall for it. And first and foremost, please call us. And if you're not sure if that's what it is, please call and verify. We've had too many customers fall for that, especially the small businesses. You're too busy running a business. Usually it's, the owner can also be a cashier for the day, maybe even a delivery driver. All the smaller businesses, you hold a lot of multiple roles. So please be careful with the scams, especially if they talk about green dot money pack cards. Those seem to be the big one nowadays, but always call if you're unsure if that is a legitimate PG&E call. And public safety power shutoff, also known as PSPS. We can avoid that within California, of course. That is all throughout California, regardless if it's Humboldt County, which is, of course, one of the main ones, Santa Cruz, or here, Morgan Hill. If there is a risk, of course, we may actually shut off the electricity as a resident, not just an employee. Of course, I know that's probably one of the last things we want to do, but also try to prevent it from happening. So, and again, on our website, you will find a great link to a video that actually tells you everything from beginning to end and how that's even assessed and how that comes about as far as making the decision to actually shut off the electricity, which of course is the very last thing we want to do, but also want to protect the public. But it does go over a lot of information. And next one of my favorite things, online account and energy savings tools. There's a lot of information if you go on to our website. Now, first and foremost, for new businesses, when they first sign up with PG&E, we'll usually send them a welcome kit, which has a lot of this information on there, and how to register online. It's all through pge.com, and this just gives you a quick snippet of where you would register. It literally takes about 5 minutes or so, just an email address, your account number, and then either your phone number or the last 4 digits of your tax ID. But this is probably one of the best tools that we have within PG&E for small business owners, and we have a dedicated site for the small and medium businesses as well. Moving forward. And this is the first page. Once you actually register, this is the dashboard. So this is a landing page. There's a lot of information on this landing page. I'm just going to quickly touch on 5 subjects that we're going to review here in just a few slides. Of course, payment options. Everybody wants to review with their, especially with COVID. With COVID, everything it's touched all businesses, changed them some way or another. So we want to make sure that there's a flexibility, extremely flexible payment options right now, or also recurring payments, different things that we can do. Profile and alerts. And again, I'll go into a little bit more detail here within the next few slides for these 5 different topics. Payment options. First one here. When you first land on your dashboard over on the left-hand side, you'll see this screen. That's one, of course, the most highly used, which is you can pay online, you can pay with your checking account or savings account free of charge. You can pay with a credit card or debit card. There is a fee of $1.35, but I know some people choose to do so because they get points with their credit card, so that's fine. But there's a lot of different options that you can do online. Pretty much everything that you can do over the phone or with a representative can be done online as well as set up a paperless statements if you prefer to receive your statements through email, because as long as you receive the email, then you'll also be able to log online, which keeps up to 2 years worth of statements here as well. So that's also helpful during tax season if you want to know what the payment history was, and usually you can find all that information here. And also for new businesses, if they are assessed a deposit, they can actually, the link is there for the business security deposit options and how to waive that deposit as well. And moving on to profile and alerts, when this is probably one of the most important parts, because for any kind of alert can be set up, whether it be for outages, for payments, if you receive your bill, if you're set up a recurring payment and it's about to expire, that can all be set up here. You can choose to receive a text alert, a phone call, an email, or all of the above. But definitely one that we highly recommend to make sure that it's all set up, and you can customize this to employees. For example, if you have a manager that you prefer that they be sent the text message instead, then you can definitely set that up here with various phone numbers and email addresses. And facility profile. This is extremely important for small businesses. You're going to actually set up, by answering a few questions, we can actually give you recommendations based on the question or the answers that you give to those questions. So for example, square footage, we want to make sure that we know we can't recommend a small business rate if you're going to be a much larger facility. So just answering these few questions can help us to recommend the appropriate rate or appropriate products actually for your business. It is, again, found on the dashboard under facility profile. I did also highlight rate analysis because that's actually the next slide that we're going to be going over that we highly suggest. This is probably one of the biggest things that we do with our team for small businesses. We always recommend using the rate analysis, or we can also help or walk you through it. Especially after you have at least 6 months, preferably a year of service. Based on your history, we can recommend a rate that you would better assess or would be best fit for your business or save you money. So online, of course, you can do that rate analysis at any time, and you can also change your rate online as well. And it'll give you the different options based on your business and those questions that you answered and your history and usage. And speaking of history and usage, the cost and usage tool, pretty much everything that we see as employees for the small business sector, you will be able to see online. And so we use very similar tools to what is shown here, pretty much everything that you see on pge.com. It'll tell you, for example, that sometimes you wonder why is there still usage at a certain amount of time? Well, you can pretty much gauge the time because most businesses have smart meters, which actually can track your usage down to a 15-minute interval. So it's very detailed. It's very detailed. If you want to check to see, you closed your business for a week, Was there still usage? What was it? You know, business overnight, if there's refrigeration or something that needs to be kept on, you'll be able to pretty much find everything here. So definitely one of the best ones that we have, the cost and usage tool. And moving on here to our small business vendor diversity, and this one we'll quickly touch on. And we do have businesses that are interested in actually being involved with PG&E and actually partnering. So on this slide and actually on our website, and you'll have the link here as well, that who you can contact depending on the type of business if you do want to partner with PG&E. We do that quite often, actually. So this is great if you want to be a vendor for PG&E. Then the link is here as far as the process and how to get involved. And next, energy efficiency resources. There's a lot, too much to cover in 15, 20 minutes, but just to touch on a couple of main ones here. Rebates, that's a popular one amongst small businesses or larger businesses, of course. Also, there's a lot if you have an amount that you want to invest to do energy efficiency projects. There's business rebates that are available for all different types of lines of businesses, as well as energy efficiency financing. For businesses that have been established for at least 2 years and have a good payment history, we can actually offer 0% interest financing on making your business more energy efficient. So that's another popular one. But any business that is interested can actually contact us, and we'll usually get you in contact with a small business advisor with our partners. And some other additional businesses and resources. This one I want to pause on because this one seems to be a hot topic right now with this conversation, and the economic development rate. And that is a rate that not too many, it seems that we want to bring more attention to it. It is offered to industrial businesses, some businesses that are actually manufacturing something within California that are actually considering moving out of state. And obviously we know for the conversation that was part of it here, what this is a discount. It can be anywhere from a 12 to a 25% discount for 5 years based on the PG&E portion of the costs. We want to try to make sure that we keep businesses within the state of California and within our territory. And if this is something that they qualify for, it is a little bit of a process because it even has to get approved through the state. But we want to make sure that businesses stay here. So if this is, again, this is a hot topic right now, if this is something that's of more interest, I would love to get you in contact with our economic development rate department and partners, so to see if that's something that your business may qualify for as well. And when we do our outreach as well, our business group, we always try to give them the state of California resources or any other resources that may be available. That's why we always receive the chamber newsletters or trying to find out more of what's going on within our community so we can offer different resources or grants or information. There's so much that happens in the background that we want to make sure that we provide that to our customers as well. And again, thank you for having us, but I will pause right now. If you have any questions for myself, if it's something that I can't answer immediately while we're here, or my supervisor, Cesar Gonzalez, then I will take it back and I make sure that I will get you an answer.
Great. Okay. Questions for Jenny? Jenny, this has been really great information, and I'm hoping that Brittany and others will work with you to make sure we get this out to the greater business community in Morgan Hill and chamber members, and that some of the programs that you're talking about become a part of John Lang's portfolio as well, as he's talking with businesses about things that are going on in Morgan Hill. Now we keep businesses in Morgan Hill and attract more. So thank you, Jenny, and thank you, PG&E, for your commitment to our community. We do appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
I think we do have a question. Brian Sullivan.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Jenny, for your presentation. When you were talking about safety, what is PG&E doing as far as the threat of fires this season due to the lack of rainfall? I mean, we're down like 40%, I think, from where we should be. And what type of things are you putting in place in advance of that? What other mitigations are you doing to help in that area?
That's a great question, and you're right. We all residents here of California, and yes, I wish there was more rain, but Right now, the wildfire mitigation is a hot topic, of course. There is no such thing as a wildfire season anymore. It's pretty much all year round, right? Especially with this the lack of rain. But right now, the biggest thing is the PSPS, the Public Safety Power Shutoff. There's that's our last resource, for example, to trying to prevent that from happening, but yet at the same time, also the safety aspect of it. You know, if turning off electricity is going to prevent a wildfire, then that must be done. But first and foremost, there's always different technology that's being used right now to try to mitigate that. So for example, the helicopters make sure that the power lines are well kept and up to date, and not just people on the ground, but the technology that is being used for it. And there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit. A lot more information is also, like I mentioned, on our website. But we are prepared. We are prepared. As a matter of fact, we're actually going into an outreach that even our team is going to be doing. So just so you know, and you can share with your small businesses, we're actually going to be doing outreach soon to make sure that all our contacts are up to date, all the phone numbers, emails. If that were the worst case scenario and we needed to shut off power, then make sure that we have the correct phone number. So if you receive a phone call, actually from either myself and our team, that's what we'll be doing, making sure that we are prepared. And also there is a team that is dedicated for a special businesses that would suffer most if there was a power outage, such as hospitals, for example, police departments. We have special groups that do a call out for them too, to make sure that they have some kind of preparation or a generator if that is a possibility.
Okay. Good.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Did we have a couple of other questions? I think John Lang.
Yes, Larry, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Jenny. Quick question for you. In terms of the tools that are on the website, Morgan Hill and several other Bay Area communities have enacted natural gas bans and wanting new industry to go towards power. I'm wondering, are any of those tool sets designed to kind of show what that change or impact could be if you aren't able to use natural gas and you need to use devices that are going to be powered? Does any of the tooling work in that format?
That's a great question, John. Thank you for that. And yes, actually there is, you can actually play with the numbers. It's kind of like an estimate, for example, on the facility profile. Let's say you wanted to add something that's going to be electric versus gas. Then you can actually check on there. Usually most of the equipment will tell you how much kilowatt usage is on there. So you can actually use the tool to do an estimate of how much that would cost. So yes, there's definitely tools online that can estimate that, just to make sure that it is appropriate investment for the business, and see if you want to switch to electricity versus the natural gas. So yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jenny and PG&E, thank you again very much. We do appreciate, again, your interest in partnership here. Joe, if you've got one quick one, we're running a little bit late and I've got 3 more things to do tonight. So you got a quick question, jump in.
It's just a quick question and it's more resident oriented. I believe PG&E is going to a time of day billing for
Time of
resident
use.
or time of use. For me, I don't know very much about it, but I know I got a notice that it's happening. Is there some program for educating the residents on what that means?
Absolutely. There's a lot of programs, depending if you're comfortable with a lot of the tools are online. You can always call us too, and we can give you the different options. There is different time of use windows per se, meaning, for example, if you try to avoid like a 3 to 8 window of time where that's the higher cost, but then all the rest of the hours would be a lower cost. So if you have the time, either, of course, like I mentioned, go online. If not, just simply give us a call and we can actually review it with you, whether it be your business or resident, like you mentioned, as a resident, and we can see what's best for you based on your usage for your home. But yes, that is true. It's pretty much the state of California is going to be moving to a time of use rates.
Great.
Does
All
that
right.
help answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We've had great dialogue and interaction on all of our speakers and topics this morning, but that means I'm running a little bit late. So I want to take just a couple of minutes and get a few reports in here. I want to ask Steve Batondo if you can take a couple minutes and talk to us, particularly about school opening on Monday. Steve, you have a school update for us?
Yes, I can do that. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. I really appreciate it. And to that point, yes, we are April 12th on Monday. We have all the classes coming back, at least partially for the students, because they have a choice of the parents, and the students have a choice of whether to do in-person instruction or continue with the distance instruction. We have a technology solution for every classroom. Our technology solution has been fantastic. Some of the teachers actually are working extra days this week to practice some of that, those that haven't had the opportunity to use it in their classrooms. And we're doing professional development this week as well for that. And very quickly, it's less than $400 for each classroom. So we've implemented it in every single classroom. And so our tech staff developed that. We piloted it, and it has been exceptional. Teachers use it in different ways. To get to this point, we had a dozen or plus conditions that had to be met. Two of them, as I've mentioned before, were ones that were out of our control, and that is the tier of the COVID tier that we were in as a county. The condition was red. We jumped to red, and then we jumped to yellow or orange, and now I think that by the next month we'll be in yellow at least. And then, of course, we all heard the governor say the tier system's going to go away in June. So we're pleased with that. Of course, we're watching the variant as everybody else is, but yeah, we have, as far as my latest report, which was yesterday, we have 100% of the teachers coming back. If you've watched any of the other districts, I feel very fortunate to be in this collaborative partnership with the community and everyone else to get, and the leaders of the employee groups to get our kids back in school. It was a plan that was set back in early fall, and we're to that point. One of the other conditions that, of course, we didn't have control over was the vaccines. At the time that we set this plan in place, none of the vaccines had been approved, although there were many of the medical labs that were doing research on vaccines. Of course, they were all approved, not all of them, but most of them are approved that really impact us. And then again, credit to Larry and Safeway and Albertsons for partnering with us to put the clinic over at Sobrato. As soon as that was set up, that was the green light for setting the date that everybody comes back, knowing that we could, every single employee in the district, plus substitutes, plus our child care workers, could get vaccinated. So we bounced the March 22nd date to April 12th so that we can make sure that everybody had both shots and efficacy. And just one more comment about that, and I'm certainly could take questions, but we established a clinic just for our 16 to 19-year-olds that is the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. 3 other superintendents and several private school leaders have contacted me asking if we could do something for them as well, and some districts to the north and south of us, and then some private schools that are near our district and then within our district as well. So we're working on that. We're working on expanding the clinics to also include the 16 to 19-year-olds. My feeling, and when thinking about this, what we needed to do and using our partnership with Safeway to do it was that we have students that really haven't been with one another at all. And it's kind of like, you know, it is school's out for the summer coming up, but, you know, graduation and all the interactive activities that they're bound to participate in, as well as going off to college and travel and everything else. So when I reached out to Yasminda and Larry as well, to say, hey, let's put a special clinic together just for our youth. And they were absolute game and supportive, as they have been through this whole process. The idea is to get them, the ones that will be going out and you know, have a potential spread capability with their interaction with one another. If we could get them vaccinated, then it's an extra protection. And also we could feel more comfortable about our graduation activities, which will be coming up and the community is participating in. And I'll leave it at there. And if you have any questions or anybody wants to ask anything about the opening or protocols or whatever, happy to.
Thank you, Steve. And we're working on those extra allocations for you. Mari, you got a question?
I do. I wanted to first say thank you, Steve, for all that you've been doing with the coordination of all the clinics at Sobrato. And also, so good to hear about getting some of those older students who are going to be heading off to college. I can tell you from personal experience how hard it's been trying to get a college student a vaccination, especially if they're out of state and have a condition. So I really appreciate the forethought in trying to do that for students. My main question is, I know you were saying you're going to have kids in person, and I've heard from, you know, friends, there's still kids going to be doing some hybrid and doing it from. Do we have an idea of how many, like what percentage of the students in the district are going to be back in person come Monday?
Yes, the actual percentages fall nicely for my memory anyway. We have about 2/3 of the elementary K-5. We have about half of the middle school, that is 6 through 8, and we have about 1/3 of the high school coming back. That's 9 through 12.
Thank you so much.
I hate to cut this short, but we're almost out of time, and I want to get 2 other things in here. But Steve, it was good to hear about the opening plans. I know we're all excited about that. So thank you very much. Edith has been putting some updates in the chat here from the city, but if there's anything else, Edith and John, you get a couple of minutes with us as well. So give us a few updates from the city.
I'll just add 3 quick ones to Edith's comments in the chat. Next week, not to steal Joe's thunder, but Planning Commission form-based zone code will be reviewed for Monterey corridor. This is a very different process and very new to the city. So that's a conversation Joe can elaborate more on. We have a broadband workshop proposed for April 28th. This is the 3rd and final workshop on broadband in Morgan Hill. And just to daylight, we will be putting together a downtown summit regarding traffic calming, lane reduction in downtown. To be determined, but most likely mid-May, and we'll get some information out to everyone. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Edith, anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Joe.
Okay.
Miller.
So John brought up the topic of what the Planning Commission does. Going to talk about next week, and that's the form-based code for the Monterey corridor. That's a big project that's been going on. Started years ago, and it continues to work through the process. And this is a different type of code than we've looked at before. Most of our code is the old style, use-based, and the form-based code is more talking about what the street view looks like. It's the building relationships to the streets and how that works for what we're trying to do along Monterey. So it's I think the whole meeting is going to be workshop. And so it'll start at 7, I think, since I haven't heard anything different yet. So that's going to be an important one. It's going to impact a large area. Goes from the railroad tracks, at least all the way down to Tenant Station along Monterey. And then at our last meeting, we did a second preliminary review with Cochrane Commons Phase 2. And I think the general feel of the Planning Commission is that the project has actually made a lot of progress from what they originally showed us, but we felt they could they could do a little more, but that project is moving along through the process. There were some residents who were concerned about the density and the type of housing a little bit, but well, that'll be part of the discussion. Again, this was just the preliminary review. The whole entitlement process is ahead of us. And after that, I'll open it to questions.
Okay, questions for either Joe on Planning Commission or John Lang with the city. Marby, your hand is up, but I think it's still up from your school question. Okay, just want to make sure. Any questions at all for our city group that's with us this morning? I see none. You guys are getting off the hook easy today. All right, so that's the final item officially on the agenda. Are there any last things that anyone wants to comment on? Questions, suggestions for the future, for future meetings?
I have just one comment. I just want to thank the city and all the community members and Rotary for again putting the banners up downtown for the graduates of all our high schools, not just Morgan Hill, but Oakwood, and that is one of the unique things, again, so many unique things about Morgan Hill, but something that these students and the parents will remember forever, especially during this challenging time of COVID. So thank you very much, and Mario and Larry and your work on that. So thanks.
Thanks, Steve. If nothing else, Morgan Hill is about community, and our schools and our kids are right at the top of that list. So happy to have some small part in that myself personally. All right, thank you, everyone. This has been another great meeting. I appreciate the attendance and all of the great dialogue and interaction this morning. So we learned a lot of things. Let's keep those in mind. And